A dull day, but from here you can almost see Cardiff. Lincoln without a win in 4 at home, Grimsby without a win in 7 away, both sides knowing they must do better in this one. Early on, Jamie McComb thought he'd given Lincoln the lead, but the referee didn't. Pushing he ruled, although the replay suggests that may have been harsh. 4 minutes later, another ruled out for offside, much more clear-cut this time. Then, from the restart, Grimsby were ahead. Gary Jones with the finish, but Andy Parkinson's build-up well worthy of note.
Jinx one way, then the other, back again. Look at this reverse ball. Wonderful pass, put in the right area.
In the second half, Grimsby inches from a second goal. Paul Bolland with the crossbar challenge. Lincoln almost equalised deep into injury time.
And off the line. And then against the post.
Grimsby happy with an away win, but with a game to go, only one thing certain: a manager with a baseball caps heading for the final. Gary Cottrell, Sky Sports.
Yeah, it was a fiery affair, wasn't it? End to end at times, bit scrappy at times as well, but there were chances at both ends, and I was pleased the way we defended most of all. I think they must have had 15 or 20 corners. I don't know what the corner count was, but in the end we managed to keep them out.
I felt disappointed all game because we've had majority of the ball. I would think, you know, sometimes we haven't done enough with it and our quality's been poor in certain areas, but they've had enough of the ball. You know, we'll not be too worried going there. We can afford to go and attack them, and they've got to obviously be careful. So pleased with the performance, disappointed with the result.
We came here not too long ago and got beat 5-0. Very direct team, difficult to play against, but you know, today's a great result for us.
You know, the lads have got nothing to be disappointed about. Apart from a sloppy goal we conceded, I've just been looking at it. But apart from that, we can go there, put them under a bit of pressure, and let's see what happens.
There's an awful lot to do, yeah. Lincoln won't lie down, that's for sure. Big Keith will have them fired up, and if anybody can go and get a result at Lundell Park, then he'll be thinking he's the man.
And you can see the return legs of both of those semi-finals right here on Sky Sports 1 on Tuesday.
Well, sport now, and Sheffield boxer Clinton Woods made a stylish second defence of his World IBF light heavyweight.
Determining that the unarmed craft was of no danger to him,
Field heaped more.
Decided to honour cruiser rules, allowing the small crew to abandon ship before sending their vessel to the bottom.
And by doing what we have done in the Champions.
Cheltenham hold a slender lead from the first leg.
For a town renowned for just about everything but its football, it's been a pretty eventful season in this beautiful part of Gloucestershire. A glamorous FA Cup clash with Newcastle United back in January, and now Cheltenham face another nail-biting tie at Whaddon Road that could secure that place in a playoff final.
We've actually had 12 cup ties over the season, you know, so we're on to about 60 games, I think, coming up for Thursday. So it's a lot of work for us, but it's helped us, you know. And so some can fall away, and getting into the fourth round against Newcastle, it's a big game. It was live on TV, but we dealt with it pretty well, and we've come through it afterwards nicely too.
If Cheltenham had preserved their 2-0 lead in the first leg at Wickham, they'd be feeling a lot more secure about making it to Cardiff. But there's no doubt Tommy Mooney's late strike has really opened up this semi-final.
It's put a different perspective on the game. I think coming away 2-0 would have been quite confident, but it's made it tight and it's made it exciting for the next leg, and hopefully we can come out with a good result in the second leg.
I'm a pretty positive person, and we say, well, that's what it has done. It's taken away any complacency from our supporters, from our players, or anybody that expects us to go through at a 2-0 lead. So we know we've got some really hard work to do, and that goal just really seals that, makes sure that we know that. And you know, Tommy's a good player, and we know that if we give him a bit of room any time, he can get a goal. So we know there's a heck of a lot to do, and in effect we've got to try and put the scoreline away and, as I say, try and win that game on its own.
Some welcome news for Cheltenham ahead of Thursday night's clash, with potential match winner JJ Melligan back from quarantine after a chicken pox scare. Pete Barclough, Sky Sports.
Cheltenham against Wickham is live on Sky Sports 1 this Thursday night. Coverage starts at 7:30.
Lancashire County Cricket Club have decided to stay at Old Trafford, their home for
Lundell Park tonight, 3-1 on aggregate. Lincoln opened tonight's scoring after 26 minutes with a Marvin Robinson header and a Scott Kerr free kick. But Grimsby equalised through Ben Butcher 15 minutes into half-time before a Gary Jones header sealed Lincoln's fate in the 82nd minute. Grimsby now face either Cheltenham or Wickham in the final at Cardiff on May the 28th. That's the news and sport. Now let's have a look at the weather with John.
Assured of a group spot.
Well, there's good news too for Michael Owen. He came through and
On what's happening with Grimsby and Lincoln. Grimsby through to the League Two playoff final after beating Lincoln 2-1 on the night and 3-1 on aggregate. Grimsby had an early chance to extend their first leg lead in the 100th meeting between the clubs. Curtis Woodhouse with a cross. Gary Jones stooped but failed to conquer. Grimsby were temporarily down to 10 men when Lincoln went in front on the night. Rob Jones was receiving treatment and Lincoln took advantage of the extra man. Marvin Robinson headed home. Lincoln almost made it 2 just before half-time. Simon Yeo's curler just went wide. Grimsby sub Ben Futcher's close-range effort put the home side 2-1 up in the tie. The strike was especially sweet for the defender. He spent 3 years at Lincoln. Curtis Woodhouse's excellent free kick was headed home by Gary Jones to seal Grimsby's place in the final. But 8 minutes later, the night took a turn for the worse for Jones. He received a red card, elbowing Gareth McCauley, and now looks like missing the playoff final. So Grimsby became the first team this season to win a home game in the playoffs. Next up, it's Wickham or Cheltenham on Sunday the 28th of May.
They're a good side, and you can only feel for them a little bit that having got in front that we managed to peg them back, but that's what we did. Showed good character. It was important to stay calm and confident and concentrate, and they were the things we tried to talk about and just relax at half time, and we kept to our task and we did very well.
I think we've been poor from start to finish. I've told the players that, and unfortunately we've come up against, we've come to a situation where we get the first goal, we've got to go on and win it, we just haven't done enough. Very disappointing.
It's just fantastic for our fans today, isn't it? This football club suffered 2 relegations, and it's nice to see them cheering about something, and for the day out, well, it's going to be superb for them, and we look forward to that now.
Well, you'd think we'd be able to step up a gear. We get the ball away every time we got it, you know, and I'm just disappointed. It's very difficult to put into words. The players will tell you they've given their lot, but haven't been good enough, and that's the top and bottom of it.
There was still just that little bit of bad news at the end, wasn't there, with Gary Jones sending off?
Yeah, obviously I'd like to have a look at that again, because Gary assures me he's done very little in that, and obviously he's an instrumental part of our squad, and I think that's his 17th goal of the season, and we need him for the final.
So
who launched a High Court appeal to prevent her from being moved from the Sue Ryder home at Snettisham, has lost her battle. Molly Trim worked for Sue Ryder Homes for 40 years. When she had a stroke in January 2005, she went to live at the Old Hall at Snettisham. Earlier this year, the charity said it was closing the home down. Miss Trim didn't want to move and claimed that the move away could kill her. However, a judge rejected her legal challenge and said it was utterly misconceived. On to football now, and Grimsby Town fans are still celebrating today after their side won through to the League Two playoff finals after beating Lincoln 2-1 at Blundell Park. That was 3-1 on aggregate. Lincoln opened the scoring after 26 minutes with a header from Marvin Robinson off a Scott Kerr free kick. But Grimsby equalised through the former Lincoln star Ben Futcher 15 minutes into the second half. And then Grimsby's Gary Jones sealed Lincoln's fate in the 82nd minute before he got sent off. Grimsby will either play Cheltenham or Wickham in the final at Cardiff on May the 28th.
I'm just very, very pleased for the club and everybody concerned with the club and the players. I mean, the players more than anything. They've been absolutely magnificent. They've given me everything.
We're going to Cardiff and that's what matters. Just disappointed Jones got sent off at the end. Silly. Stupid thing to do, but over the moon.
We're
absolutely delightful.
2-1, brilliant. Come on, Sam, brilliant.
Come on. Some people on the pitch, I think it's all over it now.
Meanwhile, Hull City's manager Peter Taylor is holding talks with Premiership Charlton Athletic. Mick McCarthy is being tipped to take over at the...
PM, the four-funnelled ship turned to starboard.
Of course, Lincoln City 2-1 at Blundell Park last night in the second leg of their semi-final.
Yes, that made it 3-1 to Grimsby on aggregate, and they'll now go on to face either Cheltenham or Wickham in the final on May the 28th, as Dave Hurst reports.
The moment Grimsby Town knew they'd made it to the final, and a night to remember for their supporters.
Oh, brilliant, best game of the season, obviously. Fantastic. Best result we could have wished for. We're going to Cardiff and that's what matters. 2-1, brilliant. Come on, Town, brilliant.
Come on. Some people on the pitch that think it's all over, it is now.
They'd suffered the agony of watching their team fall behind to Marvin Robinson's goal, which brought Lincoln back on level terms on aggregate. But 2 goals in the second half restored Grimsby's advantage. The first from Ben Futcher against his former club. And then Gary Jones, who'd scored the winning goal in the first game at Sinsel Bank, became the hero again.
I'm just very, very pleased for the club and everybody concerned with the club and the players. I mean, the players more than anything. They've been absolutely magnificent. They've given me everything.
Grimsby were there for the taking. I thought when we get 1-0 up, we just got to push on and disappointed today.
The only sour point for Grimsby, Gary Jones receiving a red card in time added on. And he'll now miss the final at the Millennium Stadium in 11 days' time.
The manager and Gres have said they will appeal. You know, I've gone up for the ball, my eyes are on the ball. You know, maybe my arms are out, but it wasn't one of them type of games. I'm not that type of player, and you know, it's caught him. It was accidental.
It didn't stop the celebrations on the pitch, and these fans are now looking forward to a special day out in Cardiff.
Well, now on to today's cricket, which not surprisingly has been affected by the weather. On day 2 of the Roses match at Headingley, there was more frustration for Yorkshire. After Mel Loy's 100 yesterday, Stuart Law
Wondering if Keith Alexander will be staying on as their manager. Simon Clark was there last night.
Can you do it? Yeah! They say football is a game for all ages, and that was certainly evident in Grimsby. Many young fans can't remember the last playoff final 8 years ago. Lincoln, finalists last year, put themselves back on course for a return through Marvin Robinson. But every playoff tie has a curious tale, and this one was provided by scorer Ben Futcher. The Mariner had figured in the Imps' last 3 playoff campaigns. Then drama and controversy as Spurs' Gary Jones scored to confirm the Mariners' success, only to get himself sent off for this elbow, a decision that cost him a place in the final. But that wasn't going to dampen Grimsby enthusiasm or bring any cheer to Lincoln.
When teams stretches, we've got no answer. The big hoof through the middle. You don't get many nights like that in football, do you? And tonight is, I mean, we live in Lincoln, so I'm doubly happy. I can go to work tomorrow with the biggest smile on my face in my town shirt.
It's a great feeling. It's tremendous. You know, it don't get any better really. I mean, we've got to go there and win. We've got to make sure we don't go there just for the occasion. We've got to go there and try and win.
Tonight the question in Lincoln is, will Keith Alexander see out the last 2 years of his contract?
When you lose a game, it's always the wrong time to be analysing, but I'll take time to take stock of what's happened. And although I'm disappointed, I've got to pick myself up.
You look like you're really hurting inside.
Well, I'm going to go away and have holiday, which I think I thoroughly deserve this season.
So as Keith heads off on holiday, Grimsby head off to Cardiff.
And Hull City boss Peter Taylor could be leaving the club within the next few days. Now, Taylor...
Terror and turmoil were young Des Cox and his mother Margaret.
My mother was almost carried up the stairs. There were so many people crowding the stairs. And one of the sad things she noticed when she was going up was a lift or elevator full of people trapped. The power had gone off. There was no way they could. They were just like rats in a cage.
Up top, the vessel's 22 lifeboat stations were scenes of pandemonium, as frantic men, women and children scrambled across Lusitania's listing decks towards the crafts they believed would be their salvation.
The ship was sloping on the starboard side. Water was virtually lapping on the bow. My mother, carrying me, went to the port side first, which was the high side. But they were having a lot of trouble with the lifeboats there. Most of them were crashing.
All the port boats swung inboard, so you would have 65, 70 people in these lifeboats and the crew trying to launch them. Well, the boats weigh 5 tons by themselves, and with a list of 15 degrees, the crew had to try to push the boats uphill over the side of the ship. The boats fell inboard against the superstructure and scythed their way through crowds on deck, killing and mutilating dozens of people.
While passengers converged on the lifeboat stations, Captain Turner attempted to turn Lusitania towards the nearby Irish shore, hoping he'd have time to beach her in shallow water. Those hopes were dashed when the ship lost all power. Nevertheless, Lusitania's wireless operator had managed to punch out an SOS. Come at once, strong list, position 10 miles south Kinsale.